Alright guys, welcome back to Edge of the Multiverse, apparently the only source for comic book, video game, movie, and TV news that won't ever get political on you. There's other channels for news like that, I'm not about to jump into all that. And speaking of news, here's some of today's top stories. First off, there's a new Guardians of the Galaxy video game in development right now. According to an article from Eurogamer on the Deus Ex series, it's mentioned that the game's developers, Square Enix, won't be able to make another entry in the series due to the fact that they're, quote, in the early stages of production on a Guardians of the Galaxy video game. This is currently the second video game title spinning out of the recent Marvel/Square Enix deal, with the first being the upcoming, and still relatively unknown, Avengers game we were teased about earlier. We currently don't have any other information about the Guardians game at this time, but it is a little weird because, just in case you forgot, Telltale Games is also working on their own version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now obviously the two studios make completely different types of games, so it's not like the two are going to be clones of each other, but it will be interesting to see the two different versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy whenever both games are released. Also in the news, a bunch of new pieces of concept art were released earlier this weekend by artists Andy Park and Andrew Hunt, showcasing what could have been for both Guardians of the Galaxy and DC Suicide Squad. Now Park shared some of his Star-Lord concept art from back in 2012 on his Instagram, while Hunt released a series of images featuring Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and the Joker on Art Studio. Now while I definitely like this early take on Star-Lord's costume, I can't really say the same for the Suicide Squad images. I mean, they just kind of look ridiculous. Like, look at this. It's the Joker, but he's wearing a tie. He's shirtless and he's wearing a tie. Whose idea was that? That having been said, I do have to give credit where credit is due, and this Harley Quinn does have her posing with her traditional weapon of choice, that being the giant mallet, and it actually does look really cool here. I'll be linking to all of this down in the description below, so if you do want to check out any of these images, feel free to click the links down below and check them out. Also in the news, the Lego Batman movie director might be set to direct a movie in the DC Extended Universe. Well, maybe. I actually don't know. You see, earlier today, Chris McKay, the aforementioned director, was tweeted at by a fan who said, "Just wanted to say, I'd love for you to do a DCEU movie in the future." Well, McKay responded by saying, "It's a long shot, but I'd like to be part of it somehow. Thank you, by the way." The fan wrote back and said, "Can we start an online tweet petition to Jeff Johns & Co? Will that help build your case? Thanks, that's nice, but I'm going to go in and see those guys and pitch myself and go from there. But thank you." So apparently Chris McKay is trying to become part of the DCEU. We don't really know what he's pitching or when he wants to do it because he hasn't tweeted about it since, but still, that's really interesting. Hey, so long as he thinks he can properly adapt whatever character he ends up picking, then he'll have my support. Switching over to TV for a second, it looks like DC's own Black Lightning is moving closer and closer to having his own TV show. You might have heard a few months ago that the character who first appeared in Black Lightning issue number 1 back in 1977 was supposedly going to be adapted by CW's version of Kevin Feige, Greg Berlanti, and then would be shopped around to a couple different networks, but that was about all we heard on the show. We hadn't really heard much about it since. But recently, MyEntertainmentWorld.com posted a listing stating that Black Lightning is set to begin shooting in New Orleans in March. That's right, guys, it's shooting this year. And this kind of makes sense because it was mentioned a couple weeks ago in a Deadline article that Black Lightning will supposedly be airing on Fox. So I guess it already got picked up and we just didn't really get a lot of news about it. It is a little weird though, since Berlanti's doing the show and you would think the CW would want first crack at it, but hey, it could still be good on another network. And even if it's not, maybe the CW is going to end up getting it, kind of like they did with Supergirl, if Fox doesn't want or can't keep up the budget for the show. Also in the news, Marvel just announced on their website that they cast Cloak and Dagger for their upcoming Freeform show. That's right, guys, Aubrey Joseph, he showed up in those movies The Night of and Run All Night. He's playing Cloak, and Olivia Holt, she was a big Disney star for a while and she's been a singer. She's playing Dagger. We also got a couple of quotes from some big names involved in the show's production, like showrunner and executive producer Joe Pokaski, who said, "The characters of Tandy and Tyrone, Dagger and Cloak, have always stood out to me ever since I first met them in the pages of Marvel Comics when I was a boy. When Olivia and Aubrey read for the roles, these characters leapt off the page. We're so excited to see what these talented young actors bring to the Marvel Universe." There's also a quote from Marvel TV head Jeff Loeb, who said, "Marvel is delighted to have found our Cloak and Dagger. Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph encompass the true essence of the characters, and we are excited for the audience to see them in these roles." Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not much of a Cloak and Dagger fan, so I'm not as hyped about this show as I probably should be, but if you're a Cloak and Dagger fan, let me know in the comments, tell me why I need to get hyped for this show. Also in the news, we got more Spider-Man cartoon updates over the weekend. Now, if you remember the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon is finally going away, and Marvel's replacing it with a hopefully much better show called Marvel Spider-Man. We didn't really know much about it since it was announced, but CBR did this big interview on Saturday with Steve Wackard, the Marvel Animation Vice President, and Marcia Griffin, the director of current series, where they were promoting the finale for Avengers Ultron Rising, and Wackard said something pretty interesting. Talking about the stories he wanted to adapt in the cartoon, he said, "The big one for me would be Superior Spider-Man. I'm not quite sure how we'd get there, but I'd love to see it." He then went on to state that another story we have coming up on the Spidey side will get to Spider Island at some point. That was a big Spider-Man story in publishing. That's insanely awesome. I can't wait to see those types of stories retold. But I am kind of hesitant because Marvel's cartoons aren't really there for the older people anymore, you know what I mean? I just don't want to see these types of stories dumbed down for the tweens and stuff like that because Marvel thinks they have to appeal to little kids. But hey, if they can do them right, I'll gladly sit there and watch these shows. Alright guys, that's it for the news today. If you like this video, let me know in the comments below, or maybe click that like button and subscribe for all of my future videos. Also, don't forget I am still doing a giveaway for a year's worth of Xbox Live or PS Plus, depending on whatever platform the winner has, and that is going on till the end of the day tomorrow. That's right, the end of the month, tomorrow. All you gotta do to enter is be a subscriber, like any of my videos, and leave a comment on any of my videos with your Twitter handle. Alright, I will see you guys next time.